How do I stay productive as a product manager? So exactly what is productivity, or is it that productivity really means something different? Of course, you have done so many things, you have read a lot of things on how to stay productive, but then I come with a different perspective today to talk about productivity. Imagine productivity as a product manager is all about what you do or the checklist that you're able to complete. I believe you may not be able to maximize the position, or you might not be able to maximize that role. Product management is leadership and managerial by structure. So it means you have to do a lot of things, or a lot of people's work depends on your management. There are a lot of things that your company, your team members will assess you by to actually say this is a very productive product manager. So what exactly would productivity mean as a product manager? In this video, I'm going to be showing you three major things. Number one will be productivity as a product manager, what it exactly means. Number two, I will be talking about the strategies you can use for the execution. How to really stay productive. Then number three, I will be showing you on how you can automate your process, or to make things faster, speeding up your process essentially. But before we continue, if this is the first time you are coming to this channel, welcome, and this is Agile Mindset. We talk about tech career leadership and product management. Now, into the business of today, the first I'm going to be talking about, which is actually understanding what productivity really means as a product manager. Now, product management is not really about your checklist. It's not really about the amount of activities you perform. I strongly advise that when you are a product manager, do not focus so much on your activities, rather based on results. Focus more on things that score you points. So when I say things that score you points, when you commit into an activity with a set of people or your team members, you should be concerned about two major entities. And what are these things? Your outputs and your outcomes. Now, productivity can be assessed in two different ways when it comes to product management. What is output? Your output is actually the set of things that you have devoted your time to do with your team members. Things like writing your PRD excellent. Write your PRD excellently. Make sure your roadmap is well structured and organized. Everybody understands it by getting into it. Your acceptance criteria, user stories, they are on point, and all of these things. These are basically outputs. They are things that you have to do, that you put on your to-do list. Oh, I have to do X, Y, Z. But then, do you think these things actually get you to the end goal? They are just part of the end goal. So which means your result is assessed at two levels. When you have completed a whole website redesign, which is an output, most times we call these things value. That is the value you actually push out to the customer. Now, the company really wants you to come from the second standpoint. When you have given value, what is the balance here? And that is actually viability, the outcomes. What can users now do on your application when you have given this? Now, outputs can both be on the side of the user or even on the side of the business. When I say on the side of the user, you have implemented new features into your application. Now, these features allows people to be able to do new things. It optimizes their experience and people are happy with what you have given to them. That's the first level of outcome. After that, you have brought out your NPS score for people to actually rate you based on how well your application has, come far. They rate you well. This application is good. You got more feedback on Play Store or on App Store or any platform where you monitor results. That's an outcome at that point. The second part of this outcome is actually, what is business really saying? What exactly is business really saying? Okay, we were able to enter new markets because of this new feature that we have brought in here. Now, as a product manager, you want to be very sure that you are able to deliver results when it comes to executing your work. So, in a nutshell, your productivity as a product manager lies on two major things: your outputs, that you're able to get the team and drive them to perform, and the outcome, which is actually the end goal. What is the result that came out from it? So outputs are activities, while your outcomes are results from these activities. Learn to differentiate both of them. The second thing I'm going to be talking about as far as productivity is what it really means rather is setting clear expectations. Now, expectation management is one of the things I didn't get early enough when I started my work as a PM. When they tell you, do this, do that, you say yes. You say yes to everything. Saying yes to everything is actually not you being diligent. Sometimes it might be you having some knowledge gap as far as implementing your task is concerned. If you do not have an idea, if you do not know exactly everything that is entailed around what you are told to do, take time to ask for permission to read more or to learn more about it and give a feedback, maybe via a mail trail or even through a meeting. Never just say yes to everything when you have not set your clear expectations. Make sure you align with your stakeholders and everybody is at the same level when it comes to decision making. The decision making really matters as a product manager, as it helps everyone to manage what to expect from you. Don't forget, when it comes to productivity, when you have committed to, this is what I want to implement within this time frame, you are going to be assessed based on those things that you have set for them. They believe you are the expert here and you should be able to deliver as you have said. Now, let's talk about strategies for execution. I needed to just explain everything that has to do with the productivity of a product manager. I did not want to tell you start setting to-do lists, start working on this and that. And the reason behind this is because if you understand what you are being assessed by, then you know exactly what to do. Like I tell someone, if I know what I have to do, the hardest part of what I do or of my job is actually knowing what to do. The moment I get what to do, it becomes very easy for me to do it. So when it comes to strategies for this execution, I'm going to be mentioning time management now. Under time management, I'm going to also explain different kind of things that I personally do as a product manager. Number one is actually time blocking. What is time blocking? I want to talk to you about Scrum. Scrum is something that you must probably have heard as a product manager. Scrum is important because automatically it already has checkpoints and time blocks. You need to have retrospective. You need to have sprint reviews. You need to have your sprint planning and several of these activities. And that's actually what makes it to be a framework that gets you into meaningful results. Another type of things that I would recommend when it comes to time blocking is actually setting meeting times. That way you will be able to know that, okay, when I'm coming for this meeting, this is the expectation. Having touch-based sessions with your team members. If you're a manager that manages other managers, have touch-based sessions where you actually meet and align on goals and expectation over time. It helps you to manage time and the number of times that you need to reach out to people, enter into their DMs to do certain things. Time blocking is as important as any other thing. Have scheduled times that you do certain things. Also, let's talk about this. I set boundaries a lot. Let us know the time that you are supposed to be at work and when you shouldn't be at work. I discovered that most people who understand what it means to actually be focused, they understand that it is not the amount of time that you spend working that determines your productivity. One of these days, I was asked a question during an interview. And what was that question? I was asked that they said, how do I perceive being a workaholic? Because they said the people that work in their company, they are called workaholics. And what was my answer? I said, well, the meaning may be very relative. To me, I do not think you have to work all the time to be a workaholic. Sometimes it is your results that actually makes people feel like you are a workaholic because you drive results easily. Now, when you have focused time and not you working round the clock, you are able to actually assess yourself. You're able to work effectively because you know that within the next 3 hours, 4 hours, this is what I'm supposed to do. If you span your time or your time of work across your day and time that you're supposed to go out, sometimes you might end up spending more time at work and you are still less productive. Take off distractions and all by just focusing on what you need to focus on at that time. I do not advocate for people working on weekends when your job says or clearly states that you have to work 40 hours per week, which is Monday to Friday. But then when you need to get things done, you might actually need to do some of these things, maybe over the weekend or sometime. Now, the essence of this is to actually prevent you from getting burnt out. Burnout is one of the most factor that causes unproductivity for professionals. Make sure you are able to select or segment your time of work and focus squarely on it. Now, the last one I'm going to be talking about is actually daily and weekly planning. Ensure you plan consistently. For me, as a product manager, I get into my to-do list and look at what I'm supposed to do for the week and what I'm supposed to do for the month. I paste it on my board. I know many product managers definitely use sticky notes to actually clarify, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. Just itemize them. If you do not implement these things within this week, you don't have to sleep. You don't have to rest, to take a rest, because you are trying to compensate yourself for what you have to do. Another thing about time management is I try as much as possible to schedule things that I do, right? Or using the Pomodoro technique. When it comes to this Pomodoro technique, it's all about you breaking your times and observing breaks. That way you are able to distract yourself from actually working within hours. It's a way to actually compensate yourself. I've worked for 2 hours. For the next 10 minutes, I'm going to take a short break and continue my work. It's a way to just refreshing your brain, your memory, and all, just to stay very active while you're working. Also, let's talk about the task prioritization. Prioritization is very important when it comes to product management. So every single thing that you devote your time on, you need to check how it aligns with the overall goal. So in doing this, develop initiative-based roadmaps where you're able to see every new feature, you connect them to initiatives. That way, you know that this feature, I am working on it because it optimizes user experience. This feature, we're working on it because it actually helps with app security. When you deliver an initiative-based roadmap, you are able to get things done and align with strategic goals of the company. Stay aligned with prioritization frameworks like the RISE framework and also the Moscow framework and any other one that you think works for your team. Also, we have to talk about the tools for efficiency, which is actually number one, the use of note-taking applications like Notion, use project management tools like ClickUp, Jira, Asana, Trello, and any other one that works for your team as well. Calendar and scheduling is also as important as anything we talk about here. Schedule times on calendar and look at people's calendar before actually scheduling things. That way you are able to work effectively without having to reschedule a lot of activities. Rescheduling meetings and activities can really slow down your productivity as a team. The third part I'm going to be talking about is actually ways to speed up your processes. So I'm going to be talking about delegation. Delegation is very important here. Now, let me talk about one of the strategies that I use to manage my team members. If I were to have a team, one of the things I do is, if I have to work with the all developers, right, working at strategy level, and also coming down to work with the developers, one of the things I do is to assign leaders within this team. If I'm working with 6 developers, I don't talk to 6 developers at the same time. The highest I do is to talk with the lead of the front-end engineering and also the lead of the back-end engineering. Why do I do this? I do have to spend a lot of time still working with each and every one of them. I delegate their task to them, to these leaders that I pick within the team that works with them effectively. So if you're a front-end developer and I have 3 front-end developers in my team, why can't you just work with your lead while I manage your lead all the time, and I manage the lead on the back-end engineering, DevOps, and every other aspect of the engineering team? So delegation is as important as any other thing. If you are to work within the marketing team, if you have a product marketing manager or you have a sales lead and the people that actually work with you within the marketing, sales, customer support and all, put managers there. Make sure the managers own their work and you do not have to go into the low level of what they actually do. Task delegation is very important as it speeds up process while you are able to manage other things. Also, automation in another sense could be you actually focusing on actually writing detailed user stories, acceptance criteria, definition of done, that gets the team aligned and you don't have to do repetitive tasks over and over again. The use of Chatgpt can also be another automation technique for you. There are a number of things you can do with Chatgpt I have attached into this video description my video that I taught ChatGPT 5 ways you can use ChatGPT as a PM. There are a lot of things you can automate, processes and all that you can actually do in such a less amount of time. Now, the last one I want to talk about here is actually minimizing your meeting times. One of the ways to minimize your meeting times is actually doing detailed tasks. So when I say doing detailed things, your acceptance criteria needs to be as detailed as possible, where you don't have to reach out to people, or when they have to reach out to you, I want to meet you and all. One of the killers of productivity of product managers is actually meetings. You want to reduce your meeting to the barest minimum. Wow. I believe with all of this that I have mentioned, I know you must probably have seen certain things that you might want to adjust from the strategies for execution or even the automation, and also what product management is really all about, talking about the outcomes, the output, and how to even manage expectation. As a product manager, don't say yes to everything. There are times you need to say no. There are times you need to say, give me time. Let me go over this thing, and I will give you a feedback on it. It shows how well you can work, or how well or how good you are at what you do. Well, if you enjoy our content, kindly like, share and comment and subscribe to this channel, because if you do that, you're actually telling the YouTube algorithm that we serve valuable content on this channel. Thank you and see you in my next video. Bye.